Hi, I'm going to try ChatGPT to see its performance and ability to write convolutional neural network codes in Python. So let's start. So we start by asking a simple question of saying, okay, write a Python script to design a simple CNN using CFAR10 dataset. Let's see what he's trying to do, what it does. So it uses the Keras library and starts by importing CFAR10, the sequential, and some of the functions that you need to define the dropout, flatten, and convolutional layers. Now, of course, I have not specified the number of layers, size of filters, number of filters, but it seems that by default, it tries to define some layers and runs the network for 100 epochs, batch size of 32. Seems that it's the one, and then it tries to explain the data set, the number of classes that we have, and the CNN. Now, of course, I can try and say, okay, use PyTorch, right? Let us see what is the result going to be. Again, as you can see, it uses PyTorch library to write a simple CNN. Now, a simple CNN is a little bit general. How many layers of CNN? What types of convolutions? Size of filters, number of filters, batch size, number of epochs. But again, this is something fairly general. And as you can see, it does a pretty good job in drafting something. I'm not saying it works without any errors, but at least to me, these steps are all correct up until now. So what it does, as I said, importing the necessary packages, and then this is the CFAR10 dataset, then splitting it into training and testing, transforming them into tensors, because this is the format that PyTorch deals with, then loading the data to Torch using the data loader. Again, you do this for the training and testing. And then this is the actual CNN model here. And you instantiate the model here. And then this is the loss and the optimizer being defined here. And this is the training process. And it writes the for loop, 2 for loops to do the training for 10 epochs this time. And this is doing the testing. But again, this time it stops here. It didn't complete the explanation of what we wanted. But I think in terms of the code, this is self-explanatory, and it adds the comments. Now this time we will make more specifications, use Keras and 3 layers of convolutions, use 64 filters of size 3 by 3 in the first layer, 128 filters of size 5 by 5 in second layer, and 256 filters of size, let's say again, 3 by 3 in the third layer. Use batch normalization and max pooling, right? Use global average pooling and 10 epochs. Well, not 10 epochs, let's say 25 epochs for training and batch size of, let's say, 8, right? Use fashion MNIST dataset. So you see, we have given it a lot of specifications here. Let us see what the results will be this time. So we specified the package that it should use, which is Keras, and the data set. Well, it's a little bit confusing because I said CFAR10 and MNIST. Let's see, or fashion MNIST. Let's see what it does. Okay, it uses the first one. Hopefully, this will not make the confusion. All right, so it uses CFAR10. And okay, let's see the convolutional layers. The first convolutional layer, as the specification says, 64 filters of size 3 by 3, 64 filters of size 3 by 3, right? I didn't specify the activation function. It uses ReLU. And then the second layer, 128 filters of size by 5, 5 by 5. It uses max pooling and batch normalization. And finally, it uses 256 filters of size 3 by 3 again. Uses global average pooling, dense layer for classification, because we have 10 classes. Uses softmax. I have not specified the optimizer. I have not specified the metric to be accuracy or anything else. But anyway, I have specified the batch size, which is 8, true. Epochs of 25, true. So again, as you see, it's good. Let us modify this time. Instead of saying using a folder of image datasets, a folder of image dataset, let's say of 3 classes. Stored on my computer. Let's try again to see if it provides, or if it tries to provide something that I can read data from a folder of images that I have. So, okay, so as you can see, it says that, okay, this is the path for your images that you use for training. This is for the validation. And for example, this is the number of training samples is 3,000. The number of validation samples is 1,000. Of course, it assumes that this is the number that I have. I can always modify those two numbers. And the size of the images, I could specify the size of the input images, the number of epoch, the batch size I have specified. It normalizes the images, which I haven't said anything about the normalization, but it by default says that it is a necessary step. And again, it repeats everything else. So it provides the paths that I can use straight away in the coding, right? And as you can see, this is all the steps, all of the layers, and training of the model, validation, scoring, and it uses the testing, right? Again, it tries to do some or write some notes, but again, it stopped. But never mind. Let's try to do some modifications this time. Use data augmentation. Okay, just in general. Adam, optimizer, and F1 score as metric, right? Instead of accuracy, we will use F1 score. Is it going to accept it or not? Right? So as you can see, it does a pretty good job in formatting what the user really wants, setting up the paths, normalizing the images, and doing some data augmentation. It uses, as I said, rescaling, sharing, and zooming, and horizontal flip, right? By default. I could have specified this, but I just said use data augmentation with all of these specifications. Again, these are the layers. So I think it, for someone that knows nothing about deep learning, it provides a very good job. And even if you know so many things, again, I think this is very helpful. Even if it doesn't work, you know that, okay, this is the format it should be. There might be errors in like calling one of those libraries. If you don't have it, maybe here and there's like an error, the name of one of the variables or something. But I think from what I can see, it's pretty okay. And the node this time says the script assumes that the images in the dataset are of this size, and these are the subfolders, so on and so forth. Now, if I want to optimize some of the hyperparameters of a convolutional neural network, I can say write Python script to design a 3-layer CNN in Keras using the Keras library, optimize the number of hyperparameters right? Optimize the number of hyperparameters. Let's see what it does. Okay. What sort of optimization approach it uses? That is going to be interesting to see. So it uses the grid search, as you can see here. These are all other sort of packages that we need. But I think what I wanted to see is what sort of searching it uses to optimize the hyperparameters, and what type of hyperparameters by default it tries to optimize, because the question was general. Let us see what it does. Right, so it adds layers. Did I say how many layers? Yeah, I said 3 layers. And okay, so the first layer, the second layer, and the third layer. It seems that it remembers what I said before about the number of filters, the size of the filters. So one might need to be a little bit careful if you have said something before, because it remembers what you asked for. And it uses early stopping criteria after 5 epochs, and this is the grid search. that it uses, but again, it stopped again. It stopped and it didn't finish. So before it regenerates, this time I'm going to make some, optimize the number of what? The number of filters to be between 64 and 512. Size of filters to be between 3 by 3 to 9 by 9. Number of epochs to be between 10 to 15, for example. Batch size of 8. Batch size of what? 8, 16, and 32, for example. What else? What else? And optimizer, type of optimizer, and what? What other? And pooling type as well. Let's see how it tackles this, right? Again, importing the necessary libraries, importing Adam, stochastic gradient descent, and a delta, because we will be optimizing between which one is better, it's the best. It remembers, again, as I said, to use our own data. It uses augmentation and the size of the images. Now it defines the model in a sequential way. Again, I forgot to say what type of activation it should use, but by default it uses ReLU. It adds batch normalization. And the pooling type, it doesn't add anything at the first instance because it knows that we need to optimize the type of the pooling as well. Now, it will be interesting to see how it tries to optimize the parameters. You can optimize the parameters by changing those. Okay, interesting. It says optimize, do this. Okay, I wanted to have those to be within the code. Let us try again. Or in fact, to not remember what I have said before, to design a CNN. Okay, let's try. Going to delete this. Okay. Optimize the number of filters, blah, 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 blah. What else? The number of layers to be between 3 and 5, right? Number of epochs, use leaky value, and recall as what? As metric, use CFAR10, for example, dataset. Let us see the result this time. Uses CFAR10. Yeah, so I wanted to somehow not use the specifications that I set it before, or the uses the information in my previous questions. That's why I tried to say, okay, try to optimize the number of layers to be between 3 and 5. So is 3 layers better than 4 or 5 and vice versa? Okay, and again, so it uses all of the information from these packages, then adding the layers, use global average pooling, Adam optimizer, okay, are we going to get, okay, randomly select the number of epochs and batch size. So it uses a random approach to select the number of epochs to be between 10 and 16, a batch size. Is this the best way? Is this the clever way of doing it? I'm not quite sure, but at least this is how it does. At least for this time. Again, it didn't complete this. Is it because there's a lot of pressure on the server, or don't know, or is it one of the limitations that we don't know? I asked specifically to use a recall. It still uses accuracy. Didn't I use leaky reload and recall as metric? What else? Let's say use Bayesian optimization, right? Okay, don't worry about the writing. Is it going to use, yes, it uses Bayesian optimization. Although my spelling was not correct, but it understood that, okay, I mean Bayesian optimization. Let us see the result this time. So as you can see, when you ask straightforward questions like a simple neural network or a simple convolutional neural network, it's okay. It gives you the results straightforward without any cuts at the end of the script. But if you make the things a little bit advanced and complicated, then sometimes it's not finishing everything. Hopefully this time it does. As you can see, this time there's an if statement about whether it uses the Adam optimizer or root mean square. And where is exactly, okay, so this is the optimized model. What is the optimizer? Let us see. Define the optimization bounds. The number of filters is between 64 and 512. This is optimization bounds. Number of filters, number of layers, number of epochs, batch size, optimizer. Type of the optimizer is Adam, and this one pooling to be between, again, it didn't finish it. Let's try one more time before we finish this session. Hopefully this time we get the full script. So yeah, please you try it from your side, and if you get the full script, let me know, or maybe take a screen shot or paste it in the comment if you can. And it would be nice to see the full potential of ChatGPT when it comes to writing more advanced coding, because what I have specified here is like very specific specifications about writing convolutional neural networks for the purpose of image classifications. And I specifically wanted to see whether it can write code to optimize the number of layers, the type of optimizers, the size of the filters, and so on. As you can see, when the length of the code is a little bit long, it cuts it at some point. So I don't know whether this is, again, one of the limitations of the system, or because there's a lot of pressure on the website. As you can see, this time the bounce has been finished, but again, it stops in the optimizer. So I'm assuming that it tries to do the optimization part here. Let's wait a couple of seconds, but I doubt it will finish it. But anyway, so I think this is pretty cool. So I hope you liked it and benefited from it. And yeah, try different type of settings here and let me know what you get and what you think. Thank you.